There's been so many times in triathlon where I'm second guessing my kit, my gear, what I need for a race, and what the best thing to buy is. And today I thought I'd just take you through what I found the best kit is for me, what makes me competitive in a race, and everything that I'm going to take to a race to be competitive at the Commonwealth Games. So this is my full race gear breakdown, and I'm going to start with a swim. And I don't think there's anything better than a 0D short sleeve, as in like no sleeve, tri-suit. And that's because they're tried and tested. The WTCS people use it, and of course this is short course racing that I'm talking about. In terms of long course racing, it's slightly different. There's loads of suits out there which are great for aerodynamics and like swimming as well in terms of water repellency. But in terms of short course, I really don't think there's anything better than the 0D O suit, tri-suit. And I mean, I've got a custom one for the Commonwealth Games, which I'll try and show you now. But yeah, it's just, I always tend to revert back to this 0D tri-suit. It's not too baggy at all. It's nice and tight, so that if you're using it without a wetsuit, it's really good for that sort of buoyancy, that's hydrodynamics, and just being really quick in the water. It's got a great zip, which you can just like whip off on the run, just in case you get a little bit too hot, even on the bike. So you can just, I mean, usually you get someone to do it for you whilst you're in a draft legal race, but it's just a really convenient, well-tested, well-rounded suit. And yeah, 0D are fantastic as well in terms of being able to print all the right things on there for age group athletes, for professional athletes, for ITU athletes. They've got all the templates, so yeah, they know exactly what they're doing with regards to that as well. I mean, there's not much better. I really don't think there is. There's other suits out there that I've tried, but yeah, always just revert back to that. Almost always, I revert back to the speed socket goggle. And I've used this since my swimming days. There hasn't been anything, and I've tried so many goggles, like, I don't know, probably 20 pairs of goggles in the past from loads of different manufacturers. Nothing compares to the speed socket goggle. Until now, until the Magic 5 goggles, and they're amazing. And I've not really experienced anything like them before. Basically, you scan your face with an app, you send that over to the company, they do something with your face, like measure your face, or it's probably not too much that they analyze. But then they send you a goggle which is custom to you, and they fit so nicely. And as soon as you dive in, you don't feel as though they should stick to your face. They don't feel as though that they should stay there. But I was just shocked because you wear them so loose as well, and they're so hydrodynamic and streamlined that they just stay there. And they're great. I mean, the visibility is 10 times better than the speed socket. So I'm a convert. I've ditched the speed socket finally, and it's been a number of years before I've managed to peel myself away from that speed socket goggle. The speed socket is kind of like the 0D tri-suit. It's tried and tested. It's a fan favourite, and yeah, there hasn't been much better, maybe until now. And yeah, I really rate the Magic 5 goggles, and the guys there that are running the company as well seem really legit, really like what they're doing with regards to the marketing of the company. But yeah, I just think they're fantastic. I've yet to try the Form swim goggles, and I don't think they're any good for racing. They don't look hydrodynamic at all, streamlined at all. But in terms of training, I definitely think that they could be a good training tool. Never tried them, seen them being used, but other than that, yeah, no idea. I have used these Magic 5 swim goggles now for the past month or so, and for training and racing. And I can't really fault them too much. Like, they don't leak for me whatsoever. Great visibility. Great in terms of visibility. Yeah, I don't really have anything bad to say about them. Moving on. In terms of wetsuits, I've tried a few different wetsuits. I've gone Zone 3, Hoop, and now I'm with 2XU. And to be honest, I think that I'm definitely wearing the best suit that I've worn in a long time. I didn't particularly like Zone 3. They just didn't fit me very well. And I don't know whether this is just the fit or whether it's the suit itself or whatever it is. Did not get on well with that whatsoever. But I think these 2XU suits, I've got two of them. I've got the Propel Pro 1 or something, and the other like slightly lesser version, and they've provided me with the best swims that I've had to date. No, like by far. I think in Fishguard was one of my probably one of my best swims that I've ever had, coming out on Aaron Royal's feet, just ahead of Tom Bishop. I mean, they're well-renowned, like top-class athletes, world-class athletes. I can't really complain about that. And I was wearing the 2xU suits, or suit, should I say. And yeah, and tri-suit actually, so yeah, suits. And yeah, I can't really complain about that. So yeah, I will be taking the 2xU suit to the Commonwealth Games if it's needed. And yeah, I'll be pretty confident in that. And it fits me so well. And it's just roomy enough, but buoyant enough. And like I can just move so well in that suit. Obviously, there's times when my arms are completely knackered and it's just not working for me. But at the moment, yeah, I've not really had too many bad things to say about this suit whatsoever. It's easy to get off, easy to get on, easy to swim in. What I would say about swimming with a wetsuit is I always swim with my tri-suit undone underneath. And it doesn't matter whether it's a long course suit or a short course suit. If it's long course, I undo the suit at the front. Sometimes I wear it around my waist. If it's a short course suit, I'll undo it at the back so that I have a bit more maneuverability within the suit as well, because two suits done up isn't ideal for being able to move well in the water. That's kind of my top tip in terms of swimming with a wetsuit on. But yeah, no, I think like comfort, speed, buoyancy, ease of use, yeah, 2xU wetsuit on point there. Really, really good. I think bike gear is probably the most popular tech gear and kind of just gear in general that people really get into, and it's easy to see why. There's so much of it out on the market, and I think what I'm trying to do here is just to give you my tried and tested gear and kit so that you don't have to go and find out for yourself what is some of the best stuff to use in terms of reliability, in terms of kind of cost efficiency, cost effectiveness, however you want to call it, and yeah, just performance essentially. So get the most for your money and not have to look around. So what I consider to be the quickest shoes on the market, and not necessarily aerodynamically, just in terms of some of the best tri shoes that you can buy in terms of getting into them. So the Mavic tri shoes are some of the best tri shoes for getting your feet into them quickly, and that's so important for short course racing. You can't afford to mess up your mount and get your shoes or get your feet into your shoes quickly. If you do that, everyone's gone and you're left behind. So it's really important, and it doesn't even matter if it's long course racing. I think being able to get your shoes on and off quickly, so for both transitions, T1 and T2, are really important for saving valuable time. And obviously the shorter the race goes, the more important those transitions are. So yeah, I really do think that these Mavic shoes are some of the best on the market for being the quickest. And it's because the Velcro strap at the front is massive. So it gives you a massive target to aim for with your feet when you've jumped onto your bike. And I don't even think that you have to like do a flying mount to have these as beneficial. I think on my TT bike, I don't necessarily do a flying mount because there's bottles on the back and I'm afraid of like messing it up and basically clouting my water bottle and kicking it across the road. So I do tend to step onto the shoe or into the shoe first and then swing my leg over. Still kind of a moving flying mount, just not jumping onto it and risking falling off. So yeah, I still really rate these shoes for a quick and fast transition, especially coming out of them into T2 as well. Next, an Oakley helmet. Oakley are so stylish and you can't really go wrong in terms of their sunglasses. And I think that the Oakley helmet, the Aero helmet, I think it's called the Aero 5, is class, and especially for sunglasses. So I found that helmets in the past don't quite fit my sunglasses in the helmet. And for short course racing especially, having the sunglasses fixed into the helmet whilst you're putting it on means that you can just whip them out and put them on whilst you're moving rather than having to put them on in transition or anything like that. Again, saving valuable time. And that's so important, again, for that transition, for getting on your bike quickly, not wasting any time whatsoever in faffing around with the sunglasses. You don't want to have to do that. So yeah, I think it's really, really good. And I use them in conjunction with probably either the Sutro sunglasses, Oakley again, or the Radar sunglasses, both of which really, really good for triathlons. The Sutro giving loads of coverage for the face and protection, and the Radar really good because I don't think they look stupid when you're running. That's basically the reason why. My bike is the Trek Amonda. I will be taking the Trek Amonda to the Commonwealth Games, and the reason being is that it's light, nimble, and quick around corners. And I don't need a big, heavy aerodynamic frame because I'm quite powerful. So I had the option to go for the Trek Madone, and I chose not to go for it. I don't want that bike. Even the new one, I don't think the new one is even going to be beneficial to my triathlon because I actively chose something that's a little bit quicker and nimbler around corners and lighter. And lighter because I'm a bit of a heavier guy. So I think that having the like quick in and out of corners and having a lighter bike is far more beneficial to me as a heavier, more powerful athlete than an aerodynamic bike would be, because an aerodynamic bike, which is like the Trek Madone, a little bit heavier. It's not loads, don't get me wrong. I'd still take one, let's face it. Like if someone offered me a Trek Madone, I would not say no. And I think they do look class in terms of that little widget at the back and being aero and innovative. At the end of the day, it looks great. But I just still don't think it's quite right for me. But just because of that weight and because I've struggled in the past in getting out of the corners quickly because of like just being a little bit sluggish or weightier, and accelerating is a little bit harder for the mass that I have, essentially. On my Trek Amonda, I've gone for disc brakes. And to be honest, they're the only option now for draft legal racing, or non-drafting racing, but especially draft legal racing. And it's because everyone's got them. So as soon as it becomes wet, or even in the dry, you can't afford not to have disc brakes, because if someone's braking hard at the front and you don't realise, then you're going straight into the back of them, and it is a little bit dangerous. So, like, especially in the wet, it's obviously compounded and everything's way worse or way more hectic. You need to have good braking, and I've really noticed that this season by having the Trek Amonda and with disc brakes. And I just think even cornering, it allows you to have like deeper, thicker tyres, and it's far better in terms of stopping and getting around the corners, and it's just given me so much stability and confidence to do that. Disc brakes are just second to none. There is no going back for me. Caliper are dead. Like, I don't care what people say, weight weenies or whatever it is, I don't care. Yeah, like it's disc brakes from now on for me always. If I'm ever getting a new bike, it's going to be disc brakes. There's like now, as soon as you try them, I just don't think there's going any going back. You just can't. They are that good. They are the only option. The group set I run on my bike is a SRAM Red E-Tap, and I just think that it's the lightest, most convenient group set on the market. Is it the best? I wouldn't say so. I'd say Di2 is potentially one of the best group sets. However, almost all professionals do use SRAM, and it is because it's lighter and it is very smart and like good in terms of maintenance because there's no or very little cables. But at the same time, it could be a big mistake. Why could it be a big mistake? For me, especially, it's 12 speed and I've been given a small compact chainring at the front. It is tiny. Is this going to be a big mistake for the Commonwealth Games? I don't think so. I think it's enough. I can spin up to 100 plus cadence and hopefully be able to stay in the group. But yeah, I would definitely go for a bigger front chainring than I've got for future races. And I'd just be wary of that when you're looking at your ratios for a 12-speed group set. But yeah, no, SRAM Red E-Tap in general, I had the first iteration, no good. Do not go there. But this iteration of the SRAM Red E-Tap, Force Axis, I think it is, the top spec one, whatever that is, it is amazing and so good. I would say the battery life isn't fantastic on them, but then at the same time, I'm happy to charge the batteries a little bit more often for the convenience of having the front and rear derailleur just literally whack them on without any cables whatsoever. So yeah, I've not really had any issues with these so far, and I would definitely recommend. Definitely. I don't think it's going to be a big mistake at all. I think it'll be absolutely fine in the Commonwealth Games. The speeds, the downhills aren't going to be outrageous. So I do think that it's going to be absolutely perfect for the games and beyond, to be honest. But yeah, I would definitely consider getting a bigger chainring in the future, just in case. So what's really interesting about the SRAM cranks and chainrings is that they're all integrated with a Quark power meter. So I run 170mm cranks, and it's got an integrated Quark power meter, which I think is unbelievable. It's one of the most accurate power meters that I've used. It's so reliable and yeah, just works, which is exactly what you want out of a power meter. And there's been so many times when I've second guessed my power in the past with other power meters, such as which ones, the Shimano cranks and the Garmin pedals, where I've been like, that seems way off. Am I on a really bad day or am I on a really good day? Like, they're just random number generators, and it just makes you second guess it every single time that you're looking at that power. But with this one, they're uber reliable. I've not had any issues. I've checked them on my turbo trainer to see if they match up, and they're within 3 watts every single time, which is so satisfying. I cannot even tell you. So yeah, no, I would definitely 100% recommend a Quark power meter. On my other bike, I do have a Power to Max power meter. That's on my Trek Speed Concept. And again, unbelievable. Basically, I would recommend a Power to Max or a Quark power meter because they are a spider-based power meter. Yeah, they attach to your chain rings, and they are class. Super reliable. Best I've ever used. In terms of my contact points, so that's feet, hands and seat, I use the Shimano pedals, and I just think they're far more bulletproof than things like the Look Keo pedals, blade pedals. Those always fail for me. They end up clicking or just being slightly wrong or this, that and the other. But the Shimano ones, they've got a massive base, so you're good for power transfer. Yeah, sure, they might not be the most aerodynamic, but in terms of just reliability, I've had them for ages. They still work. They're fantastic. Not had any issues in races so far, touch wood. But yeah, no, I just can't really recommend much better in terms of having a good, solid pedal to rely upon. And that's in training and racing. I think I just used the Ultegra version. Don't think it's the Dura-Ace version or anything like that. Just the like relatively basic version of their pedal. Not much better in terms of what I've used so far. In terms of the saddle, I use just the Bontrager. I think it's the Aeolus 5. And it's a carbon rail. So yeah, no, I would definitely recommend that. The other one that I've used in the past, which I would definitely recommend as well, is the Specialized Power Saddle. Really good for getting the hips over the front of the bike and being able to get in a nice aero position in a lot of comfort as well. I really rate all of the saddles that have a little bit of a gap in the middle, and that's because they provide so much more comfort and relief on that groin area. So yeah, don't neglect that. I think it's such an important, comfortable or comfort to be able to spend money on. It's horrible to have an uncomfortable seat whilst you're riding, and that's for training and racing. In terms of handlebar tape, now handlebar tape, as you can see, I've gone for the yellow handlebar tape, and it's Physique, and I'd go for Physique or I'd go for Lizard Skin, and that's because they're really nice and tacky. It's got a nice grippy feel to it, and yeah, I just think that the yellow bar tape stands out from the crowd, especially not necessarily in the Commonwealth Games because you have your own racking point and you've got loads of space around, but in terms of age group events and in terms of other British Series and ITU events, I would definitely recommend a loud bar tape so that you can actually see your bike when you come into transition, because usually your head's all over the place, you don't know what's going on. You might have used a spotting position like in the crowd or outside of the racking area, but still might not be able to find your bike. The yellow bar tape makes it stand out. Actually, if everyone does this, obviously you won't be able to find your bike. So maybe don't do that and leave me do that so I can still find my bike. There's not too many different colours out there that look or don't look stupid. So yeah, let me think about that one. But yeah, so that's why I use yellow bar tape. It's not the best looker, but at the same time I find my bike because I've missed it so many times in the past. How deep should you go with your deep section wheels? And that massively depends on you as an athlete and a rider and what your skills and like advantages are as an athlete. Me, I'm quite powerful again, so that I don't necessarily need a load of like aerodynamic gain in terms of the big deep sections. So I definitely go for a middle of the range depth. So I use the CES 50mm, I think it is, wheels, which you can see in the background here. I think they're 60 actually. They're 60mm wheels. I don't want to go any deeper than that. I wouldn't go 80, not even on the rear, just because again, I'm saving weight. So just like the bike, I don't want to go any heavier than I have to so that I'm nimble and quick in and out of corners. And that's important for me because I'm a slightly weightier athlete and I need the advantage of being able to go in and out of those corners as quickly as possible. And I don't necessarily need the aerodynamic advantage that a deeper section would give me over the weight disadvantage. So that's my thinking anyway. But tell me if I'm wrong. So they're deep, but they're not too deep. And I think my thinking there is relatively sensible and common sense maybe. On those wheels, I go for the tubeless GP5000s. And again, unbelievable. It's got sealant in there, so hopefully I don't puncture, or if I do, I'll still be able to get to the finish line or end of the stage or section discipline. So yeah, I am really rating these tubeless tyres, and unbelievable grip because they're 28mm tyres and they just feel like tractor tyres. And I think that the tubeless like idea, why go tubeless? Primarily because of the puncture reason, but also comfort. You can go so wide on them and run them at a lower PSI, so you're just rolling nice and smooth over the surface of the ground. And that means that you have far more confidence, and to be honest, it feels like you're going really slowly because it's that stable over the ground that you're like, oh, this just doesn't feel like, it doesn't feel twitchy or anything like that. It just feels like solid. And because of that, it does feel slow. And I've spoken about that in a video before. But yeah, it just feels as though it's not twitchy, and it's just so solid under you that you feel a little bit sluggish. But it's not slow. I've proven that in previous races. And yeah, it's great. I love it. I love the tyres and the wheels. I think it's a really good combo, solid combo. GP5000s. Is 3D printing some clip-on bars pointless? Yeah, kind of. I think so. Now I do have some. I have some on my bike and I'm going to be using them for the Commonwealth Games. But was it a pointless endeavour to do? Because the idea was that we were going to produce these on behalf of Entire Performance and try and sell a few to draft legal athletes. But the ITU have decided that they're going to ban clip-ons next year, so it's kind of a pointless endeavour in that respect. Fortunately, we're like maybe hoping to produce something for non-draft athletes, because especially as I'm going to go into non-drafting at a later date, produce something for a front end of a TT bike so that people can use that, and it's going to be at a lower price cost as well, so hopefully bringing it more to the mass market. But yeah, no, was it pointless producing these sets of clip-ons? No, because I then get a set of clip-ons for the Commonwealth Games. Was it pointless in the grand scheme of things for a later date? Maybe. Designing them and things like that. Yeah, it could have been, but at the same time, hopefully it will be beneficial within this race and I'll get a lot out of them in terms of a race performance and having them to, make it a lot easier within the race itself. Hopefully it won't be pointless in the long term in terms of having the skills and ability to be able to make these, and especially for a TT bike. But yeah, for the time being, long term, maybe not the best. As a triathlete, as I'm sure everyone can appreciate, we're well into our data and numbers, and to record that, I usually use a Garmin 530, which has a bit of a bigger screen, great amount of data, really accurate, perfect. However, for this race, I'm going to be using the 520, and that's because the clip-on bars that I've got only fit the smaller Garmin on, and I haven't been able to readjust the design, or there's not enough time to readjust the design before the Commonwealth Games. So that's the reason that I'm going to be using the 520. It's still a great Garmin. I think there's very little difference between the 530 and the 520 other than the bigger screen and just general design. It looks a little bit smarter. But I'll be using the 520 rather than the 530 for the Commonwealth Games, purely because it's slightly smaller and fits onto the bars themselves. And we've got that little custom mount on there as well, so that I will have a really good visual of that during the race. There is so much information out there about running shoes, what you should wear, what you shouldn't wear, what is the most efficient thing to wear, and just everything out there. I'm not going to go into detail about what I've tried and tested in terms of the data and what I think in terms of all of the other stuff. All I'm going to say is that I've tried the Alpha Flies, the Vaporfly, the Vaporfly Next Percents, and also the Asics Meta Flies. And just personal preference, and this is by feel alone, I prefer the Alpha Flies, and that's what I'm going to be using for the Commonwealth Games. And all I'd say about them in terms of what the negative might be is that they might take a while to get into in transition, and I'm practicing that a lot before the race itself. But it could be the biggest loss in terms of time. Like if you take too long in transition to put your shoes on and the group goes, then that is a massive loss of time. And if you don't make up that time in terms of the time made up from wearing them and the carbon and the speed that you're going as a benefit of wearing them, then it's pointless. So if you're losing 10 seconds in transition, I'm not saying I will, but if I'm losing 10 seconds in transition and I'm only making up 8 seconds over the 5K, then it's pointless. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think that over the next percents, they've probably got another couple of seconds for me personally per K. So I should make up more time than this is only saying if I mess up the transition, which I don't think I will. But it's a case of making sure that that transition is really quick so that it's not a big loss and that I can just really use the benefit of the speed of them in terms of mechanics and just general propulsion forward to its greatest advantage. And I think it will be the biggest gain that I can have for that run. And on the run as well, I won't really be using much else other than the Alpha Flies, maybe some sunglasses. So if it happens to be sunny, or if it doesn't, I'll be using maybe either the Oakley Radars or Oakley Sutros just to cover the face. I hate people seeing the pain in my face when I'm running. It looks stupid, and yeah, I mean, there's some terrible photos of me running and just looking horrendous. And I just think the sunglasses just protects from too much of that. There's some great photos of Ollie and I side by side, and we've probably got similar facial expressions, but mine's hidden underneath the sunglasses. So yeah, I think I always tend to go for sunglasses if I can in a race, just because they tend to hide the pain and like grim photos afterwards. But each to their own. I mean, it doesn't make any terms of performance advantage whatsoever. It's just personal comfort and just a habit, I guess, as well. But yeah, I would definitely recommend the Alpha Flies. I really get on with them personally. I know that other people do not. They find them a bit clumpy. But yeah, personally, they're my favourite shoe to date. Hopefully they do the job on the day for you or me or anyone that's wearing them. But yeah, leave me a comment below. Let me know your experience with the shoes or otherwise. And I'll see you next time.